There's an air of white-knuckle desperation about XCOM 2. Set 20 years after humanity canonically lost in XCOM Enemy Unknown, we're now fighting to overthrow an alien occupation of the planet. It's a very thematically appropriate scenario for a game about taking 4 to 6 person squads into battle against an initially superior alien force, and a great backdrop for these unpredictable, tactically deep, and addictive battles. Just like before, XCOM's high-stakes, turn-based tactical combat dares you to become attached to your customizable characters, knowing that on any given mission they could be permanently killed off because of mistakes or just bad luck. Deciding how to use each soldier's abilities, then crossing your fingers and hoping they'll make their shot creates non-stop tense, triumphant, and tragic moments. Choosing not to reload a save after a bad turn and accepting the consequences takes an iron will, or the courage to enable Iron Man mode. One of XCOM 2's big strengths is how it resists falling into repetitious patterns. Every time through the campaign, which can last between 20 and 30 hours, you'll see a random assortment of weapon modifications, soldier stat boosts, special ammo and grenade types, psionic powers, bonuses for covering continents with your resistance network, and more. You have to adapt to make use of what's available, and that's a constant challenge. The same goes for the high-quality, procedurally generated maps, and a good variety of mission types. Without knowing ahead of time where an objective or an enemy will be, you'll attack and defend, extract or kill VIPs, and blow things up. Some missions have turn timers that'll force you to make risky moves or to make a hasty retreat. And because you start most missions in concealment, keeping your squad hidden while you set up a lethal ambush is a new and different kind of challenge with a potentially big and cinematic payoff. XCOM's easy-to-understand 2 moves per turn system returns, and while these 5 soldier classes may be similar in theme to their Enemy Unknown counterparts, they play very differently thanks to new and diverse ability sets. The Specialist's remote hacking and healing abilities, for instance, set them completely apart and introduce some interesting risk-reward opportunities, especially against robotic enemies. Augmenting these abilities with weapon upgrades is also excellent. I combined a sharpshooter's kill zone skill with a high-capacity ammo mod, which lets him take up to an incredible 6 reaction shots in one turn. But considering what they're up against, they don't feel overpowered. Some of these aliens are absolutely vicious, and the AI usually knows how to use them effectively, especially on higher difficulty settings. They're also fun to mess around with in the head-to-head multiplayer mode. XCOM 2's most annoying problem is that it's prone to animation glitches and inconvenient bugs, like failing to show you the floor of the building you need to look at. These only occasionally actually interfere with gameplay, but it happens often enough that I think I'll wait for a few patches before I attempt an Iron Man run. And performance-wise, let's just say I'm glad this is a turn-based game, because I can't get it to hold 60 frames a second even on well above recommended hardware. The trade-off for that is that this game usually looks fantastic thanks to extremely detailed character models and textures, expressive animations, and creative creature design. And the ability to blow big holes in buildings, especially when enemies are standing on them, is great.
Welcome to the bridge, the nerve center of our operation.
The completely redesigned world strategic map is also much more dynamic and replayable than in the previous game. Starting from a random location, you're in a race against the aliens as they move their victory counter up, and you destroy their facilities and complete story objectives to move it back down, buying yourself more time. There are a lot of decisions to be made here, including where to expand, what resources to chase down, and what research projects to work on first. But again, you have to read the map and adapt. There's not a lot to the base building this time because you don't have to worry much about adjacency in your flying aircraft carrier base. But managing your engineering staff by assigning them to specific rooms makes them feel like people rather than a number on a spreadsheet. Unfortunately, the science staff doesn't get the same treatment.
Impressive, isn't it? Capable of generating immense power.
With a focus on variety and replayability, this sequel has an answer to most of my complaints about 2012's excellent XCOM Enemy Unknown. And aside from some mostly cosmetic bugs, it comes together brilliantly. Thanks to a new spin on the same great tactical combat, plus unpredictable maps and randomized objectives and loot, XCOM 2 is an amazing game that I'll easily put hundreds of hours into. For much more on XCOM 2, stick with IGN.